Hi crafty folks, Amy here, and today I'm going to combine a bunch of new stencils for a fun baby card, so let's jump right in. Now this beauty right here is a brand new stencil called Marvelous Masks Onesie. And as you can see, it has those 4 outer layers, and then there's also 4 inner layers of the stencil. Now here's a photo of the finished card. I'm going to show you how I made it, but I combined a lot of new stencils to get this fun look. So to start, I'm going to use one of the Marvelous masks. This is the outer portion, and I'm just going to line that up directly on my card base. And I will kind of cover up the little exposed edges where they're sticking out so I don't get ink where I don't want it. But I'm just going to lightly ink blend in this opening to start the layout of the card. And I do have my blending brushes. These are from the Rabbit Hole Designs. They're called Cottontail blending brushes, and I do believe they're back in the shop. But to start, I want this first layer to be kind of subtle and light. So instead of going directly to my Catherine Pooler ink pad, I'm just going to use some of the residual ink that's already on my blending brush. So you may have seen other videos. I don't really clean my brushes after I use them. I kind of leave the ink on there, knowing that I'm more than likely going to come back for it another time and get more of a pastel look. So I'm just kind of filling in, going a little heavier handed in spots and light handed in others. And then I'm going to use Pixie Spray to put stickiness on the back of the inner portion and cover up where I ink blended. Then I'm just going to remove the outer layer, so then essentially I've just masked off perfectly the part that I just ink blended. Now here's where I'm going to come in with other layers using some of the other new stencils. Now if you haven't checked it out yet, the September release at A Colorful Life Designs is full of really baby-centric stencils, but there's these really cool playful or geometric stencils as well. Like this one is called Chunks. So I'm just going to combine various different stencils from this release. It's really fun to mix and match, but tons of really cool baby-related or baby-themed stencils in this release. So if you need to make a lot of new baby cards or for donations or to have in your stash, then you don't want to miss this release because it's so fun and there's so many great new stencils in the shop. So now I'm just kind of coming in with more residual ink on my purple blending brush just to kind of lay down a subtle background with this chunks stencil. Now as you can see, I still have that mask down of the onesie, so it's covering up the onesie that I laid down in pink, so that's perfectly protected underneath this stencil. So I'm basically just creating a perfect background around the outside, but still having that pink protected on the onesie. So now I have a blue blending brush and just kind of coming in different spots and laying down that color as well. But overall, very subtle and light, nothing too drastic or crazy. So that's the second stencil that I'm using. And also, if you're not familiar, Mary Kay at the shop has a ton of these Marvelous Mask stencils. They all come with the 4 inner and outer pieces, and they're awesome sets to have in your crafty stash. She's got all different shapes, geometric shapes. Some are like fun, like a cat head, but she'll have, hearts and stars and circles and ovals, and there's just a whole collection of them in the shop. So if you like the versatility of this sort of stencil, then be sure to check out the shop. And I do have a coupon, AmyFan10. It'll save you 10% on your complete order if you shop. So save yourself some loot there. Now here is yet another new stencil from the September release. It's called Bunch of Girls, and it says "It's a Girl" all over it. Now it was created to nestle perfectly in with another stencil from the release called Onesies. It has little baby onesies all over the place, and these little "It's a Girl" text kind of fit perfectly within the onesies. So in this case, you can see I'm just using it on its own without all the other little mini onesies in the other stencil. So just lends itself to the versatility of this release. You really can mix and match these in so many different ways to create all sorts of fun looks. So I like that because I personally don't have a lot of baby stuff. In fact, I should probably get my hands on some more baby sentiments, but I did notice, I didn't get all the stencils in this release, but I did notice there are a ton of stencils with sentiments that are baby centric as well. So if you don't want to do stamping and just want to stick to your stenciling, then be sure to check those out too, because that's another option as well. So now I'm just going to carefully peel back this mask, and now I have this adorable pink onesie kind of laid on a bed of these other stencils that says it's a girl. But I don't want to stop here. I feel like the onesie needs something else. So I'll come back to that. But on the inside, I want to kind of continue the design. So this is a fun way to bring elements from the front of your card to the inside of your card without a lot of time commitment. So I just grabbed the stencil that I used on the front, and again the residual ink on the blending brush, and then just do a very light-handed, subtle ink blending on the inside of the card. So it just adds a little bit of interest and some continuation of the design, but nothing too crazy. Now here's where I want to step up this onesie. I just have a very inexpensive gray colored pencil here, and I'm just kind of drawing on some of the details, kind of like, you know, where the bottom flap folds over and you have the snaps and the little edges on the onesie around the sleeve and around the neck. So I'm just manually drawing these things in and kind of adding a little bit of shading. I know it's hard to see on the screen in my lighting, but it does add a lot more to the design. So this is an optional step if you want to, you know, kind of hand draw some elements on here and kind of kick it up a notch. So just doing some basic shading, little sketches, nothing perfect or too concise. And I have this welcome little one. This is a sentiment strip from Tailored Expressions. That's what I'm going to use as my sentiment. And then here I decided to grab the Love Strands stencil. This is an older stencil from the shop, but I knew it had hearts all over it, and I wanted to stencil a little heart on top of this onesie just to give it a little something else. So I'm just going to use little pieces of this mint tape just to kind of mask around a heart that's the size that I want, and then I'm just going to come in and ink blend a darker pink right on top of that onesie. So it'll give it a little bit of a focal point on the inside of the big onesie, and then I can lay down this sentiment strip as well on top of it at an angle, kind of in the same direction that I have the stenciling. Now these are little foam strips I get from Amazon. They're very similar to the Doris ones. They do give your card some dimension and interest, but they're not super crazy. They're not going to stand out really high and cause you issues in shipping. So I'm just going to lay that down. I actually decide to make it straight with the card rather than follow the contour of the onesie. So I'm just going to push that down. And then here I decide I want to add a little bit more interest, so I grab a white gel pen and just put some little white polka dots inside this pink heart. So if you feel like your card needs something, maybe, I don't know, hand draw a little shadow in, or grab a white gel pen, or maybe you could flick some spatter on it or add some blingage. So if your card needs a little something else, then maybe those are some ideas for you. But I hope you enjoyed this card. Be sure to check out the rest of the release. Tons of good stuff in there. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.